Well, welcome back to the Real Life Moms podcast, where we empower moms to break free from feeling stuck and take actionable steps to what's next. I'm Lisa Foster, your host, and today I'm here with Kellie Forsyth. She is a work-life balance and productivity life coach. She specializes in helping working moms reclaim their time, maximize productivity, and reduce stress at both home and work. Thank you, Kellie, for coming on our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited about you, Kellie, because it is December, and December to me is fun, but also stressful. I mean, Hanukkah is ending, Christmas is beginning, New Year's, and all that comes with lots of stuff for parents. So, with your expertise, and you're not only a life coach, but you're also a mom of 4 boys.
Yes.
So, you're in the thick of it too. I'm excited to hear just what we can do to make this time easier.
Yes. I think first off, it's not just you. I think it's you, me, and every mom and woman out there who's like, okay, holidays, love it. And also very chaotic.
Yes, totally. And I know like a big pain point for parents at this time is like time management, how to be still working and helping your kids do whatever they're doing and still manage time in the holidays. So, do you have just little hacks that you just love to tell parents what to do to help us during this time?
Yes, such a great question because I don't know if this is an us thing, like this time we live in, or if this has been forever, but I definitely think social media is a disadvantage to us where we see all the amazing ideas. Like, I don't know, just even when you were just talking, I think about like even remembering like having the time to remember to like move the elf at night. Like there's just so many amazing fun ideas. And I think social media is great to be able to get ideas, but if we try to implement them all, it's just not gonna work. We're gonna feel so overwhelmed, so like burning the candle at both ends. And so I think the most important hack that applies to, the holidays, but just life in general is really prioritizing and
Mm.
really, really getting clear on what is most important to you. What kind of traditions do you want to have in your family for your kids? And really letting everything else just fall by the wayside. Because there's
Mm.
just so much good stuff, we can't do it all, but we can do the things that matter most to us. So really taking those things and owning it.
Oh, I love that. So, like, if you sleep through the elf thing, for those that do elf on the shelf, which was new to me, okay? Honestly, when my kids were little, that was not something I grew up with because I didn't celebrate that growing up. But then I celebrate all holidays now. That elf can kill a parent. I'm sorry, because you forget to move it, you feel guilty. But if that's not a priority for you, then right, maybe
Yeah.
it's something else.
Totally. Like in my family, we don't do the elf either, but I have like a sister-in-law who does the most elaborate elf on the shelves every night and she loves it. And so I
Mhm.
think it's being able to celebrate other people's traditions and be like, oh, that's so great, but not feeling the need to like, oh, in order for my kids to have a magical season, I need to take that on my plate as well. Just
Yeah.
really choosing what do we want to give and then celebrating what everyone else is giving and not the need to compare or to match each other's traditions.
Yes, totally true. What else do you do to help yourself get through this time?
Start early, just when you were talking about, getting anywhere, leaving the house, we for sure start earlier than most families. But I think when it like going back to priorities, you have to prioritize before you plan. So obviously I'm a huge time management coach. What comes with that is a lot of planning and a lot of resources there.
Mm.
And so really taking the time to know what's important first, right? Step A is know what's the most important to you. I like to tell people to come up with their top five and then planning out based on those priorities first. I think right now, this season, self care is going to fall by the wayside for most people. But if that's one of your priorities, which I highly recommend it's everyone's one of their top priorities, that needs to be scheduled first. That's one of the most important things to get on your calendar. Whether it's 15 minutes or 3 hours, I don't care. But we just need something there to where it's for you, it energizes you, and then go to that next priority. Maybe it's holiday traditions, maybe it's elf on the shelf, I don't know. But
Mhm.
really making a plan, looking at your week and saying, what am I going to do this week to serve each of these five priorities? Just pick
Mhm.
one thing to start but really putting it on your calendar. I think it's so important to make and keep appointments with yourself, just as you would your boss, just as you would, maybe it's your favorite podcaster and you're like, oh, if I had, time to sit down at lunch with her, I would not miss that. Making all those appointments with yourself with that same mindset, same attitude, and then showing up for it, that's just going to feel so much better. All the other things are going to pile on the calendar and it's going to feel a little chaotic and crazy. But if you can go to bed at night saying and feeling like, oh, I showed up for my top 5 priorities today, or maybe this week at the end of the week, it's going to feel really good for you, even in the midst of all the chaos.
Okay. So planner, you hit planner. I love
Yes.
planners. Oh my God. I love
Me
them
too.
so much.
Me
But I've
too.
been looking at my planner and so maybe I'm not prioritizing. That could be number one. But how can you give like some hints on like how to plan? Because I can fill up those sections so easily. And then I love crossing out. Oh my gosh, I have like a physical
Me
planner. I love
too.
that. That's such a, it just makes me so happy just to cross things out. But if I look at my planner, it's a mess. Like someone would sit and go, Lisa, you have an issue. So what do you tell parents maybe who maybe over plan, or how can you help people plan better?
Yeah. So the first step is going to be to widen your lens and think in terms of this month, and really say in the next 30 days, what do I want to have accomplished?
Mm.
And again, every time I have my clients plan, I have them have like right in front of them written out their top 5 priorities. That way they can start with those things. Okay. So, of my top 5 priorities, what do I want to accomplish in the next 30 days? So, we're getting really broad to start. And then we're going to brain dump a huge list. It's going to be very long. And if we keep that list, that's where most people stop on a to do list. It can feel very overwhelming. So then what you're going to do is take that list, then go to your planner, which I love that you love planners. It's the end of the year, so all the 2024 planners are going to come out, and I know everybody's excited for those. But so much of the planners that you'll find on Amazon or just wherever are going to have a lot of fluff to them. And I highly recommend people like cross off sections of the planner and rip out the pages that, are super intensive habit trackers. Really simplify your planner is to start. If you have a planner with a million different, you know what I mean? Like things to fill in, it's going to get very overwhelming. You're going to take that big list that you brainstorm at the beginning of the month or mid-month, whatever, and then begin putting them into your calendar, but not until you first schedule your self-care and white spaces on your calendar. So that's the first thing that I tell my clients to time block out and to schedule. I'm a big fan of time blocking, really saying not just what day, but what time am I going to fill in the blank. But
Mhm.
before you put all the things, all the tasks on your calendar, you're going to want to schedule out your self-care and then white space.
Okay,
So
what is white space? I don't know white space.
great question. So white space is just kind of nothing is going on the calendar. So, if you have a Google Calendar, you have the purple boxes, green boxes. We want
Mhm.
white boxes that are no
Mm.
touch zones. So that is time for you to feel the peace, to feel like the calm. It's getting out of the hustle mode, out of productivity accomplishing mode, checking the boxes to be able to rest. Maybe with
Mhm.
that white space, you sit on the couch. Maybe you're eating dinner with your family, whatever it is. But that white space to me is what allows you to live while also having a lot of amazing goals that you're chasing and accomplishing things, but giving yourself time to just be.
Oh, I love white space. I don't have
I
white
do
space,
too.
but I love white space because I also feel like sometimes when you have like, I'm going to do this from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, blah, 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 there's no life. There's no joy. It's like you're being sucked into this schedule and there's no flexibility. So I
Mhm.
love white space. To me, that's like flexibility in life. Yeah.
Yes, it is. And like so many of us want to like get rid of the chaos. And I'm of the opinion of we actually don't need to get rid of all the chaos. Chaos is life. But what we can do is like have those like still moments within the chaotic time, within the chaotic holiday season. If we prioritize white space, I love they say I love white space. I do too. Everyone does. We just don't prioritize it. And so if we can really go to our calendars, right? They're totally blank and block off what sections do we want to keep blank maybe right now that's going to start, if you're looking at like planning this next week, maybe you only have 15 minutes of white space that you can offer right now. That's going to feel good to you.
Mm.
Then bump it up to 30 minutes. So even if it's small, it doesn't have to be like, these 3 hours, I'm not doing anything today, but just time to give yourself to be present and to live. And if you're a mom, that's a time where you can maybe just sit on the floor and play a game with your kids, or, bust out the Uno deck. I just read that Uno officially came out and said you cannot put a draw two on a draw two. FYI, I just learned that.
Did not know that.
But it's like time to just like live. And I think that's really important if we're going to want to feel fulfilled during the busy months and the busy year.
So much is going through my head when you're saying all this. But first of all, I do want to capture the
Mhm.
simplicity, because that's actually my new year word for the
Love
new
it.
year. I like words that kind of symbolize things, and simplicity is my word. And I did order a new planner from Amazon, I'll be honest.
I
But
love Amazon.
it comes in like 2 days. It's great. But I looked at the most simplest one, because I do have one that I love right now, but it has so many things and sections. And honestly, it drives me a little nuts. And so I wanted the monthly calendar, the daily calendar, and a little space to like put my goals, or, a little word of affirmation or something fun for me. And that is all. I didn't want all the other stuff. So
Yes.
yes, I love that. So I do want to shout that out.
Well, I think that's so great. Actually, one of my favorite Amazon planners is on Amazon, and I recommend it to my clients. It's a time blocking planner, but I do have them rip out the first like 7 pages when they get it, because it's just a lot of extra stuff that, if you're someone who looks at it and you're like, oh, this is energizing, and I love answering these questions, and I'm going to refer back to them. I love it. Keep everything that feels good. But if it feels like another thing to do, like now you need to fill out this habit tracker, or now you need to come out with an affirmation every single day, if that feels like a lot, then just don't worry about it. I'm a
Mhm.
big advocate for a B minus attitude towards life, towards planning. If we can go B minus, we are winning. So
Ugh.
if you're keeping, 80%, 75% of your appointments with yourself, you are winning.
Oh, I love that you're giving us permission to like rip up a new planner, because like that to me would be like, oh, I can't destroy my planner. But yeah, if it's not serving us, why am I just doing it? Because it comes with it. That just seems silly. So I love that permission to do that.
Right. And also like customize it too. Like maybe one of the boxes in your planner is, like write down your 3 big rocks for the day. Go for it. But if you want to like delete that out, or just like, cross out the word rocks and put priorities, or, 3 things you're grateful for, like utilize that space, but in a way that will serve you and that makes you excited to fill it out. If you also don't want to do any of that every day, just again, a big cross out is great. I will say though, I love paper planners. I find that they just work so much better. There is something psychologically, like how our brain works when we write something down. You hit on, you love crossing things out. I do too. I don't really know many people who don't. It just feels good to be able to cross that out and to visually see on paper your time. So I really recommend time blocking calendars, where you see every hour of the day. You have a better awareness around what can I get done and where am I overloading myself, when you actually have to dedicate a specific time block, a specific, 7 to 7:30 time period on your calendar is going to help you to not overschedule yourself.
Love it. And yes, love writing. I'll even take my planner and I'll put on top of it, like before, like it's the week, and I put on top of the week my particular goal or
Mm,
manifestation, even like of what
mhm.
I want to get from that week. And so that when I open it every day, I can see it right there. But I also know it can change next week, and it could be a new
Mhm.
goal or a new thing. So I love doing that in my own.
Yeah, I love that. It's almost like, what's this week's priority? Like we have all these fun goals and stuff, but like this week, what is our like number one? Another thing that I'll mention that is really helpful is reviewing your plans the night before. So you're going to have like a beginning of the week planning session, plan everything out. But then every single night before you go to bed, I like to just to look. I like to kind of review the plan, see if anything needs to be adjusted. I like to see, did I schedule enough breaks? Again, that's that white space. If I have a task from 7 to 7:30, 7:30 to 9, 9:30, I'm going to visualize that day and already know I'm going to feel very rushed. I'm going to feel exhausted. So I'll go in the night before and say, okay, like what breaks can I give myself? Where can I adjust things? And then before I go to bed, I 100% commit. And I actually used to put my signature at the bottom of like that day of just being like, okay, I'm going to 100% commit to these plans and go all in. Go to sleep. That helps with waking up to your alarm in the morning if you struggle with that. To be like, all right, I got stuff to get done and I'm excited because I committed to it. I'm going to show up for myself in this way. And then you do the repeat, right? You just rinse and repeat every day, really committing to the things that are there. And if there are things that you're not 100% on board with, then let's just cross them off. Let's get rid of them.
Yes. I do that actually at night. I find if I don't, what happens to me in the morning, I feel like chaos. I don't know where to begin. So when I write my plan the night before, it's like I'm waking up and I know where to go. There's no question. Like
Yeah.
it just works better for me too. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's a great one.
Yeah. And getting down to like the nitty gritty of like, I work a lot with my clients on their morning routines. I don't want you just time blocking out, morning routine for this amount of time. I need you to know exactly what you're doing and at what times those transitions are, or you're gonna have your alarm going off and your brain's gonna tell you, oh, you just 10 more minutes, 10 more minutes. But when you know, oh no, because in 15 minutes I'm transitioning to this next thing, whether it's manifestation, whether it's exercise, whether it's a shower, whatever it is, you need to know exactly what you're doing and when you're doing it to be able to get yourself to make that progress and to make that sacrifice of getting out of our warm, cozy beds and actually showing up.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of reading. I don't know if you've heard of it, Atomic Habits. It's like a big popular book
I
out
love that
there,
one
right?
by
Oh
James
my
Clear.
God, addicted to it. And what they say is like there's a big correlation. If you know what time and where and what you're going to do, you're going to be more successful in creating
Yeah.
that habit, right? So
Mhm.
people want to lose weight or exercise. Oh, I want to get healthier. I'm going to exercise every morning. Well, you're not going to do it unless you know I'm going to go down to the basement at 6 a.m. and I'm going to get on the treadmill. Then you're going to do it because you have all the things that you need to do versus like I'm going to exercise and then you get up and you're like, well, what am I going to
Yes,
do? Or where am I going to do it?
totally. Totally. And you know what? Like some people, like when I first talked to them about planning and like even like that detailed planning, they get really freaked out. Like, well, if I plan on that level, I'm going to lose all flexibility or it's going to be exhausting, like spending all this time planning things out. And it's totally the opposite. Like when we plan, we have more flexibility, we have more of that white space. And
Mhm.
also, we have so much less decision fatigue, right? Like your brain likes it's like a toddler. I call it like your adult brain and your toddler brain. Like the adult brain is what the brain that is really good at planning and prioritization and making logical decisions. And then your lower brain, your toddler brain, always wants to get you out of those plans. And so we can make it very, very clear to our lower brain, our toddler brain, this is when I'm going to do it. This is what the task is, and this is where. There's not a whole lot that the lower brain can fight with. And then we stop having to rehash those decisions every single morning at 5:30 a.m. or every night before you go to bed. Do I want to turn on my alarm clock or do I not want to? If we can plan really, really well and very clearly, we actually have more energy because we're not constantly having the brain chatter of should I do it? Should I not? Oh, I should. I don't want to. All of that stuff is just not needed.
Totally. And I have to ask, like, there's so much that goes on during this time period.
Mhm.
But I think what happens, even if we plan everything, we prioritize everything, like
Mhm.
sometimes we get caught up in all that I feel like personally I miss the joy. Like, so how do we create like actually enjoying the
Mhm.
moments during this time? It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, sometimes I'm just too busy. I'm not enjoying those moments with my family. I'm not enjoying anything because I'm just like, oh, okay. I made
Yes.
it.
Yes. So, kind of two parts. One is more of the tactical thing, and one is more the mindset. So, I'll speak to the mindset piece first. And the top emotion when I talk to clients or women or just people in general, the emotion is always overwhelm. And Brene Brown said it so perfectly in her latest book that overwhelm is not just an emotion, but it really is an experience of all of our emotions. Okay. So when you're feeling overwhelmed, it means you're, feeling your emotions at a 10, but you're only really paying attention to them at a 5, and you understand them at a level of a 2, right?
Mm,
And so when we kind of piece that apart, it's like, okay, are we having time? This is why morning routines I'm so passionate about, to be able to feel your emotions. Like that is necessary. If you do not take the time to feel your emotions, I'm like huge advocate for journaling because that's where we can get in and understand our emotions, right?
mhm.
We need time in our day, or if you feel like there's no room in the day, then okay, once a week, take some time to just sit in silence, sit in quiet, feel the emotions, right? Just feel them, name them, and then find them where are they at in the body? Okay, maybe it's overwhelmed. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Where am I feeling overwhelmed in my body? Take some deep breaths. Just allow them to feel. And then we want to understand them. Why am I feeling overwhelmed? Is because I think I need to be doing everything? Is it because I feel like I'm not enough? Is it because my mother-in-law said X, Y, or Z, and now I'm making that mean a whole bunch of stuff about our relationship and who I am as a mom? I think it's really important that we take time to own that we are not our emotions. It's just what we are feeling in that moment because of what we're thinking. So life coaching is all about, right? Getting into those thoughts. What are the thoughts that are causing us to feel a certain way, that are then causing us to act in a certain way, that are then giving us our results in life? So I think one big piece is if we don't have time to, like, self-care is such a trendy thing, right? Like, oh, self-care, self-care. But really what self-care is allowing yourself to feel those emotions and understand them. And that's going to allow you to then enjoy the other moments so much better because we're not at this heightened level of like the bottle under pressure that's going to pop because we've allowed ourselves to process some stuff and then we can kind of go with the flow a little bit more.
So really, it feels like coming back to a little bit of also just time, that white space that I just learned about, really,
Yes.
because that space will allow you to maybe take a breath, calm yourself down, feel what you're feeling, or give yourself that self-care you need to then show up for everyone else and actually have a good time as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think having that white space gives us permission to just be a human for a second, not be in a someone accomplishing things, not being mom making dinner, not being, what all the other roles that we fill, not being the employee that needs to get something into their boss before end of
Mhm.
day. White space allows us to just be a human, just feel some emotions, just take a deep breath, right? Calm your nervous system, or just turn on a show, whatever you want to do with that time. But then be able to then go to that next day or that next, thing on your calendar. I also have a strong belief that emotions are practiced. So if we're practicing overwhelm, what's going to come really natural to us is overwhelm. A lot of people actually freak out about the idea of white space on their calendar because they're like, I don't want to be alone with myself and my thoughts. Like, I'll just rip myself to shreds, you know?
Mhm.
And so, like, being stillness is a practice. We have to practice being still. We have to practice being calm. We have to practice being intentional or present. Again, the white space on your calendar allows you to practice those emotions. And then it's going to bleed out and become more natural in your everyday, making dinner for the family moments. But we need to carve out that time in our mornings. Maybe you want to say just in my evenings, but ideally you get to a place where you have time management skills where you have your white space throughout your day. You have a morning routine and an evening routine, no matter how short, to be able to practice those emotions that you want to be showing up in your everyday life with.
What is your favorite, I guess, practice that you use and do?
So that is hard because I've noticed I actually used to wake up at 4 a.m. and I had 3 hours of a morning routine and I absolutely loved it. And I did that for about 2.5 years. And then I decided I want to scale back that and start waking up at, 5:30 or 5:20 was the time that I decided. What I noticed was by cutting out the things that I had already felt were so enjoyable and felt good to me, were energizing to me, I then missed
Mm.
because I liked having time in the morning for prayer. for scripture study. I liked having time for yoga and meditation and all of those things, for exercise, for a shower that, was before all the kids woke up and no one was saying my name. So for me, it's a combo. I don't think that it's a necessarily a task, but it's the feeling of unrushed, whatever that feeling
Mhm.
is. But the opposite of rush and hustle, that's the feeling that I like to chase in my morning routine. And I do that through, right, those series of things. But really, what it comes down to is how they make me feel. And for someone else, those activities might not light them up. And so again, it's finding out, journaling, what do I enjoy doing? What fills my cup up? And that's going to look very different for everyone. And so
Mhm.
really just owning what that is. I have a client right now who, she's like, I love scrolling social media. Everybody always talks about how bad it is for you. She's like, I actually enjoy it. And I'm like, if you enjoy it and you leave it feeling energized, well, let's schedule it. Like, let's go for it. Someone else might say, I would rather die than take a bubble bath. Don't take a bubble bath. Like, that's ridiculous. So, a lot of it's getting to know yourself and really asking the question, what lights me up? What leaves me feeling better, more energized, and fulfilled after that activity?
I love that somebody actually enjoys scrolling on social media. I mean, for me, that drains me a bit,
Mhm.
but I love that someone is like open and saying, like, yeah, that fills me. And so, yeah, it's going to look so different for everyone. And I'm a morning person too, but I don't think everyone probably that's listening are morning people. And I want to say that's okay. You can put your white space anytime you
Mhm.
want, really. So it could be, if you're some people are night people, right? I am like sleeping at 9 o'clock. I'm not a night person. I'm like,
Right?
good night. Yeah, day is done. But I also am a 5 a.m. person. But finding that space and what fills you or refuels you, if you're a night person, maybe it's refueling you from the day, right? So you're ready to go the next day. I think that is such an important piece.
I agree. And it goes back to, the elf on the shelf. If that fills you up and you're like, I love the type of mom I'm being, then we want to keep that activity going. If you're doing an activity because you should be doing it, maybe that's you should be waking up early, or you should be doing ELF, or you should be doing journaling, and it doesn't light you up, then we need to give ourselves permission to be unique and to know ourselves better than anyone else knows us, and to own that and to then plan our days accordingly. My one only caution to that is, we do need to try on habits for a long enough time to really see the fruit of them. Just like with exercise, if you haven't exercised in a really long time, the gym is not going to feel great at first, you know? But we need to stick with it for a long enough time. I say at least 2 weeks when you're trying on different habits. That's what I recommend for, clients I begin working with. And they're like, I don't know what I would even want to do with self-care time. It's like, let's
Mhm.
try on habits. Let's get to know you. Like, it's just like trying on pants. They're not all going to look the same on everyone. So let's try on a bunch of different sizes, bunch of different colors, but we're going to need to stick with a few of them for at least 7 to 14 days to really know, what do these produce in my life. But feel free to give yourself permission to be like, nope, not those jeans. I don't wear skinny. I don't wear high waisted, whatever it is, and own that that's just not you.
Totally. That's perfect. So, where can listeners find you and what do you offer?
Yeah. So my Instagram handle is Next Level You Coaching. So, right, we're doing coaching, we're doing live coaching, we're taking you to that next level. And my website, I actually just came out with a new free 2-day mini course. You can go to Kellie Forsyth. My last name, well, first and last name is spelled unique. Kellie is Kellie, last name Forsyth, FORSYTH.com/coaching. You can register for that free mini course. We talk about all about time management, reclaiming your time, being able to have the chaos, but also incorporate intentionally the calm in our day. So that's a free mini course. You can also apply on that same page to work with me. I work with clients one-on-one in coaching sessions to where we have 3 months together to really go all in on your goals. Some clients I meet with weekly for 30 minutes, some an hour. It's very customizable to where you are now and where you want to go. So that's how you can work with me.
And I will have it in the show notes as well.
Perfect.
So, what can the listeners that are here today do to take that next step for them in just getting ready for this holiday season and prioritizing and planning and all the good stuff we talked about?
Yeah. So one we talked about a little, I'll give you two, but one we talked about a little bit already, which is what are your top five things? Like for some people it might be sleep. Some people might be their faith. Maybe it's, getting a promotion at work. Whatever it is for you, again, own that it's unique to you. There's no right or wrong priority list, but writing down, whether it's notes on your phone or in your journal, what are your top five priorities for this season? Again, your priorities can change. I love that you mentioned that your goals change every week. You just write whatever's on top. Some people try to like narrow themselves into a box of like, oh no, my top five, this is gonna be really stressful. It's like, no, we can change this every week, every month. What are your top five for this holiday season? The next thing I'll have you do is at nighttime, if you don't have any night routine yet, the only thing I would say is start writing down, or at least just thinking out loud, maybe while you're brushing your teeth, what are the three wins of today? Celebrating those micro wins. The wins can be really small. They're not like I wrapped all the presents and finished all the Christmas shopping. A win might be, I'm brushing my teeth today, and that's what I had to offer. So, what are your top 5 priorities? And then every day, what are the my 3 wins? My 3 micro wins that I can celebrate, look back on, and not get caught up in what's to come, all that you need to do, but give yourself a little bit of time to look back and acknowledge what you've already brought to the table.
So many of us do not do that, right? We are just always looking for what's next, what else can I accomplish? But looking back at those even small accomplishments can
Mhm.
really affect your mood and change how you see things. You're like, wow, I've already done all these things, and you don't even notice that. I
Yeah.
really love that practice.
Yeah, one of the main things women say is no one notices all that I do. And
Mm,
my question is, how are you noticing you? Let's just start with you. Like, are
yes.
you noticing that you made cereal for dinner? Like, that's something, mom. Like, we did something for dinner. Like, notice you first, and you're going to like how you show up so much better, and it's going to feel a lot better.
Right. Because when you're noticing yourself, then others will also notice that too. So, yeah, I
Exactly.
think that's key.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for this amazing conversation. I already feel calm going through December. I am ready to hit the ground running and I'm excited to try all your tips.
Thank you so much for having me.